Hello, and welcome back to Unapologetically Wild with me, Kadi Sonntag. I am so excited for today's episode, and it's because it's about something that I see with high-performing women at all the time, right? Myself included, is they're incredible at giving, but they're actually really uncomfortable in receiving. Now, why I want to go deep into this is because a lot of the time when we're going after something or we've got a big dream, there's a lot we have to give to get there, right? And it could be our time, our energy, it could be, many, many things. And as high-performing women, we are so ready to do anything it takes to get to where we want to go. And that is incredible. It's a gift and sometimes can be a curse. Why I want to speak into this is because I have recently, and over my time of leaving the army, over my time of even towards my end of my army career, have been going deeper into receiving. And I believe it's really, really important because being women who already take action and are already really good at giving, we don't need to learn that, right? So we have that skill down pat. It is like ingrained in our DNA. But being able to receive is a totally different scenario. And I want to take you back to a time when I couldn't even receive a compliment. People would say, oh, you look pretty, or, all of these things, or you look nice today, or that's a lovely dress, or you did really well. And I don't know about you, but if you have troubles with taking compliments, sometimes you shy away, or you fold in with your body, or you turn away from it, almost like deflecting the compliment. And it's, or you just don't acknowledge it at all. And there's so many times I remember when someone would give me a compliment, instead of allowing myself to be open and receive it, I would do something to either dismiss it, move on, or I just wouldn't know how to receive it. And a compliment can be such a small thing. And you may think, oh, it's a compliment, but it's not. It's a really big piece. Someone has taken the time out of their life to give you a compliment because they've noticed you in a certain way, and they're almost being vulnerable with you because they're allowing themselves to open up and show you what they think and how they feel. And by not receiving it almost, and I'm sure you felt this as well, and I have been on the other side of this, is you feel uncomfortable when someone doesn't take the compliment. You're like, oh, should I have not said that? Do they not feel that way? Do they not like that I've said that? There can be so many stories that come up in your head. And it almost has nothing to do with the person giving the compliment. It's normally the person receiving it, because it's a big thing to open ourselves up, because we're always giving, to actually allow ourselves to receive. And I think back to a time when I remember I was in the army and I would be, I was a brand new PT, so I get everything out myself, and I'm a strong, independent woman, right? So here's the thing with us. We're strong, independent women. Yes, I love this. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit here. So, strong, independent woman, I'd go get all my weights and I'd put them all out. I'd make the PT session amazing. I'd be there hours before. And that was great. And I was very prepared. And when you're new to anything, you're always very prepared. You go too early and you make sure when you're a perfectionist and you want to do well, you make sure you do it well, right? So I made sure I had everything all sorted. And then I realized that, yes, that was my job. And yes, I loved doing it. But later in my career, I remember a time when I had some guys come up to me and they were like, can we help you? Can we get some things out for you? And I wasn't behind and it was all fine. But at first, I remember earlier on in my career, it was like, no, I can do it all myself. Ridiculous. Why did I not accept help? They genuinely are just like, would you like help? I didn't ask. We didn't do anything. You know what I mean? They're genuinely like, please let us help you. So anyway, as I sort of got to the end of my career, I would say yes. Because here's the thing. When people want to reach out to you, they don't do it because they don't want to. It's like, they're not just like, oh, I'm going to have to go over there and help her. Unless, of course, you're struggling and you look like you can't get it sorted. But that's a whole different scenario. When you're a high-performing woman, you can get it sorted. You are strong. And most of the time we repel people because we're too independent and we don't actually allow people to help us with things that could make our life easier. And of course we do, right? We're literally brought up to be independent and, we can do everything and anything. And yeah, we can, right? I'm not disputing that. But we also get to receive the help, the support, the people around us who will, give us opportunities by talking our name in another room. And the army's not great for this. It's very, very hard. A lot of the time we're pitted against each other as females, and we almost do it ourselves too, because the men are like, oh, they only got the position because she's a woman. Oh, you know how many times I've heard that. And so we pit ourselves against each other as well. So then we're not actually really supportive women. We don't walk into rooms and, talk about other women and pump them up and do all these things because we're brought into a culture where that's not a thing. The men don't do it either for each other, right? Like, it's not like it's just women, but it's like, and then of course you would never do it across sex or, like man to woman or woman to man, or then it become, gosh, an outrage. You must be sleeping together, So it's like one of those things where this is where we actually do ourselves a disservice. Because here's the thing, receiving is not just about compliments and opportunities, right? Receiving is in every aspect of our lives. And if we're not open, we don't receive opportunities. If we don't allow ourselves to receive money, if you're in business, receive rest. Like, how much, when I'm in rest, right? This is normally when I make the most money. And why is that? Because obviously you take action, and I take action in my business all the time, right? Like, you're always taking action, right? That's a given because we're really good at giving. We're really good at taking action. But what happens is when we don't allow ourselves to rest and receive, and the same goes with recovery for fitness, right? If you don't recover, you get injured. All of this is about resting, receiving. If you're in business, receiving clients, having capacity to hold more clients. It's about what you allow with your energy and your capacity. And so here was the thing. It started with compliments for me. That was the very first thing. So I would, if someone gives me a compliment, I turn to them and I thank them and I allow it to land in my body. Because it's really beautiful to be noticed and to be seen and to be acknowledged for whatever they see, right? So it's one thing to allow that as a compliment, and that's a beautiful, easy way to do it. Another way is allowing yourself to put your business out there. Now, this has been a really big one for me because, when it comes to sales and all these other things, sometimes you hear marketing and whatever, and we all have our own experiences with this, right? But sometimes you're like, oh, that feels yucky, or I don't like how they did that, or, don't want to be sold to, or whatever, right? There's all these stories around selling, especially when you come into business, because coming from being an employee, I received money for doing my job, right? And now I'm creating and receiving money from a business, but I'm the one going out there making it happen. And so to receive a sale, you've got to ask for the sale, right? And there's many different ways you can sell and market all the things. But until you ask for the sale, you're never going to get it. And I think it's really interesting, and I've noticed this phenomenon with myself and others in business is that a lot of us are really good at doing all this other crap that actually has nothing to do with moving the needle. And I'm guilty as fuck talking about this right now. All these other things actually doesn't move the needle at all in our business. And so it's great because we're like, we're so busy, we're doing all the things, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it is, but is it actually doing anything to give you money for you to receive? Are you giving yourself the capacity and ability to receive money, clients, opportunities? Are you putting yourself in rooms or around people that are going to open those up? And are you allowing yourself to receive from them? When someone comes in with an epic opportunity, is your answer yes? Or is it like, no, or I have to think about it, don't know if that works? Don't block your receivership. And there will be times when your body will be like, it's a fuck no, right? We know this. And it depends on where your authority is in your human design to understand what that looks like for you, right? But for me, it's a sacral gut. Like, yes, or no, or eh. So it gets to be what it is. But if you're a yes, a fuck yes, and then you just decide because your brain gets involved and it's like, no, like, oh gosh, what will that mean? Oh gosh, that's scary. That would be a big step, et cetera, the blocking what you can receive on the other side. So that is just not going to help you. In business, definitely not. In life either. We want to receive love, right? We're hyper independent women. We're so independent that we almost don't allow ourselves to receive love from our friends, from our family, from our partner, because we're like, I can do it all myself. But then someone walks over and says, can I carry a bag? And you're like, that would actually be the most amazing thing in the world if someone could carry my bag right now. And someone walks over. I remember I was walking with some groceries and I was like, literally, of course, because I'm the lady with 1,000 bags that doesn't want to do 2 trips, right? That's me. So I'm carrying all of these bags and this guy comes over to me and he goes, can I please carry a bag for you to the car? And I was like, yes, that would be amazing. And in that moment, I got to receive not only help, but I didn't have to carry the load by myself. I didn't have to do everything by myself. And this is the other thing, when we create community and we open ourselves to receive from others, we actually create even bigger things than what we could ever create on our own. And this is why I love teaching women how to receive, because I, for so long, thought I had to do everything by myself. I couldn't receive support. I couldn't, go and have multiple things going at once. I had to have one dream, one vision, only go after it. And look, I still have one dream, one vision. Doesn't mean that it doesn't detour at times. And I don't need to ask for help and support in some areas of my life. And I never would have done that before. Until I really started personal development, I actually never asked someone to mow my lawns. And that sometimes just, I don't want to do it. I'm going to be real with you. Sometimes I don't want to mow my lawn. Sometimes I don't want to clean my house, right? And there's times over the years that I have paid people to do it. And I will again. Because it is something that, what happens when you receive that support and someone doing that? And I have my dad do my lawn. So, it's like the most beautiful thing, because it saves you time, energy, capacity to put into your, for me, business, right? For others, it could be their job. It could be your triathlon that you're about to do, or your marathon, or your big thing, right? And it's just, sometimes you have to give up some of your load. And it's scary at times because you think, are people going to think I'm weak? Now, this is a really big thing. And no. To be honest, no. Half the time, I find this super intriguing too, because half the time people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves, right? And if they do have a comment or thought about you, it normally lasts for a couple of minutes and then they move on, unless, they want to gossip about it to all their friends. And even then, they're still more worried about themselves than they are you. The topic of you will move on. And so this, was a thing for me too, of like reaching out to offer people my services and all these things. So I was like, oh gosh, maybe people will think I'm annoying. Nobody thought. I asked a few of my friends and they were like, we don't think you're annoying. We think it's actually really nice that you invite us because half the time we miss it on social media, right? Because of course they do. Not everyone sees every post, every story you put up. Not everyone's paying attention. A lot of people got everything else going on with their lives, right? And so it's about receiving the to and fro of energy, right? Like I'm giving them an opportunity and they'll receive it and take it, or if it doesn't work for them, they won't, And I think this is another piece when it comes to women in business, especially, is undercharging. It's like attaching your value to the amount of money that you charge someone. And it's not really about that. It's about the service you provide and knowing that that's an epic service and people need it, right? Believing in what your service is and realizing its value. You are intrinsically so valuable, full stop, exclamation point, right? But allow yourself to receive has to be in a state where you can actually open yourself up and allow it to come in. And if you don't do that, how are you ever going to receive all the things that you want? Because here's another thing that I see. A lot of women are like, I want this, I want that. I'm going to go burn myself into the ground and I'm going to go work so hard so I can get it. Yeah, that works for so long until you're burnt out, right? Until you can't function, until something goes wrong. You can't keep up that capacity. You don't learn how to recover, to regulate, to build your capacity even bigger so that you can keep moving forward but not end up in burnout. That's receiving. It's about looking at your life and saying, how can I be supported while I keep growing in my capacity and holding more, right? Because say, for instance, I have a VA, a virtual assistant, and she's amazing, right? The capacity of what we can do together is 10 times than what I could do by myself. Here's the thing. By having her in my business, that builds my capacity. It also gets more done, all these things, right? And I'm receiving the fact that she's really good at some stuff that I'm not very good at. Canva, not my friend. And so I receive the help from her, which actually takes some pressure off me, especially if I'm going through something at the time, or I'm dealing with something, or I'm, just needing a bit of a break. She can help me and support me through that. Whereas if I didn't have her, a lot less things would go out. And there's a point, I have beautiful support for this podcast. The reason it goes out every week is because of the support I have in the back end. I get to sit here and share with you, but I receive support from the beautiful people that actually make this possible, right? And do all the tech in the back end and all of these things I honestly am really not good at. And if it was up to me, this wouldn't look this good. I'm just telling you that for now. And that's 100% the truth. Because receiving is about allowing yourself to be supported. And it also gives you a chance to flow in life. So you're no longer pushing to the point where, you're like pushing uphill and you're like wondering if you're ever getting there, or you're making micro movements. Whereas if like you'd spoke to the person next to you and asked them to support you, you actually would move 10 times quicker and it'd be half the work. A lot of the time we don't do this because we feel like we're a burden, right? We don't want to be a burden on someone else's. Same when we talk about, sorry, just got disrupted by a message. Receiving. So we feel like we're a burden, right? And what happens is, we feel like we're going to actually make someone, how do I put this? out. It's really as clear as you can make it. It's like, if I ask them to help me, I put them out. But what if they want to help you? What if they're really good at something and they really love it and they actually can be so supported and thrive through helping you out? And what if that person that you're not sending that message to get to work with you isn't seeing it, but they need you. They need your services. They need to know how incredible and amazing they are. They need your one-on-one coaching. They need your energy healing. They need whatever it is that you're offering, but they don't know about it. How are they meant to book it in? These are the things that sort of come up and are like, if you're continuing to not put yourself out there in a way that you also allow yourself to receive, it's this beautiful ebb and flow and this beautiful, I guess you could say push, pull, however you want to think about it, right? It's the same in the gym. When someone asks if they can help you move a box, very good. Okay. Someone, what you do a workout with a team or a partner and you share the load, right? There is time when you can be strong and do it all yourself. But I'm going to tell you now that that is probably the thing that's holding you back in your life. And I know this because it's held me back. And at times I still default. We have these things where sometimes we're taught that the way, the best way to do it is by staying small and staying quiet. That doesn't get you anywhere. That's when we watch all these other people getting loud and DMing everyone and standing on stages and getting opportunities and getting the promotion you want and getting all these other things because they chose to stand in the arena and put themselves out there, right? They chose to allow themselves to receive the opportunity instead of turning it away, because you don't know what little opportunity is going to lead to a big one. You don't know what a little bit of receiving bit of money is going to do to then help you to do the next thing that you'll receive more. You don't know what that extra client is going to show you or the incredible transformation you're going to give them. And I have to remind myself of this every day, right? And compliments, you don't know how much you can make that person's day by giving or receiving the compliment that they give you because you smile back at them and say thank you. And they're like, yes, I felt so good giving that compliment today. And I'm so glad it was received. Same with a present. Sometimes people give you a present and then you receive it and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, that hurts being the person giving it. Also hurts, if you're not allowing yourself to receive the goodness of it, then you don't get the good feeling, right? You're in a weird energy. You're not actually happy or, yeah. And think about even when you sit with your girlfriends and you talk to them about things that are stressful or that are making you sad or that you aren't getting through with, or you're struggling and you need a hand and they can provide a hand. You know how many times I've seen when women get together and all of a sudden someone in the group has a solution that if that person had stayed strong by themselves and hadn't sought to talk to the women around them, they never would have had that solution or it would have taken them months to get there. I've also seen women try and go it their own and then it's taken them years when it probably could have taken them 5 minutes if they'd asked the right person or if they just allow themselves to receive help and guidance. So being independent is great, but just make sure it's not costing you more than what it's actually giving you. This can be in relationships, like I said, in compliments, in business, in your work. For yourself. Sometimes I sit and listen to affirmations in the morning and I just love receiving them, listening to them come into my subconscious, into my mind, being grateful for even just looking outside at the trees while I'm receiving them. Receivership doesn't have to be massive and it might be not millions of dollars. It could be $10. It could be, it might not be 1,000 compliments a day. It could be one. It might not be 1,000 clients. It could be one. But it's allowing yourself to receive so that you can keep giving as well. Because when you start to receive, it also gives you a bit more energy. Because if you're giving all the time, you actually don't allow yourself to be in balance of energy because you're just giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and then not receiving. And that's depleting. And that's why it ends up in burnout. That's why it ends up in injury. That's why it ends up in all these things, right? We talk about balance. Receivership for women who are high performing is one of the most important things. Why do you think? And I actually had a lot of thought about this recently. When my friends have been pregnant and they obviously grow their belly and they have a baby, nothing I'm telling you is not true. Like it's not new. And so why do you think they slow down? Why do you think that when that happens, they get bigger so their body slows down? Now, there are some incredible pregnant women who will keep going and do everything till the end. I get that. But it doesn't mean they don't move slower. They don't need more rest because they're growing and receiving a child. They're creating that. To be in our creative energy as women, which is exactly what we're here for, to create, to flow, to be sensual and in our essence, to be in that energy, we have to slow down. And because you're a high-performing woman, you're always going to do the thing. So it's about the balance of slowing down and doing the thing, right? And allowing yourself to still be very capable because you are. Nobody is disputing that ever. But how can you receive today? I would love for you to go out and actually ask yourself that question. How can I receive today? Could even be a coffee. Sometimes that's the most beautiful thing. I went out just the other day with a beautiful new girlfriend and she bought me a coffee and I just was like, thank you. And it's a big thing for me to like sit and say thank you because it's a gift. I didn't have that before. I'm so grateful. And here's the thing, when you start to receive and you're in gratitude, and I know some people hate hearing this, and trust me, at one point I did too, but you're deep in gratitude, that's when you receive more and more things come into your life because you're in the frequency of being grateful for what you're receiving. So it's all of a sudden like the universe can't stop giving you and more and more and more so you can keep receiving. Because that is the essence of us as women is we get to keep receiving. Always. And because you're already so good at doing, there is no way you will ever stop doing. I think sometimes that's actually a fear. And I'll be honest, that was one of my fears was that if I started allowing myself to slow down, rest, and receive, that I wouldn't do. And that's not true. I still do so much. But I will still have the same thought sometimes and I'll still say like, oh, I didn't get that much done today. And we corrected. I love sometimes chatting to ChatGPT and I'm like, oh, I didn't really get much done today. And they're like, I'm sorry. And they give me a list that's like 2 pages long of like all the things that I said I had done today. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Because we're so good at doing, we naturally do without even realizing how good we are at doing. And that's why prioritizing rest and energy, like capacity and receiving is so important, is because we don't know how. So when we first start, it's scary. It's a lot. It's a big deal. But once we start doing it, it is magnetic and delicious. And it's wild how we just feel amazing. And you will not stop doing. I can guarantee that. Honestly, you will not stop doing. So let's allow ourselves to not only be the independent woman, the incredibly wild soul, but allow ourselves to receive more. So how can you receive today? What is the thing that you get to, maybe it's rest. Maybe it's actually when someone says, I really like your outfit, you pause, turn to them and say thank you. Maybe if it's someone who buys you a coffee, thank you. And this gratitude starts to become the way we live our life. And when we see our life so differently when we're living in a state of gratitude, and we see more things come in, and we see us receiving so much more. And I would love to let you feel that. And when you feel that, I want you to keep compounding that feeling and that gratitude and that love. And then we start to see the world in the beautiful way that it is. Instead of seeing all the negative things, we start to see all these beautiful positives and opportunities and all these beautiful things. And there's clients, there's money, and there's we're receiving compliments and love and all of these beautiful pieces. And we're starting to grow in different directions, and we allow our life to flow. And we're creative and spontaneous, and we do all these beautiful things. So I would love for you to challenge yourself to receive. And I would love to know how you go. What did you receive? Would love to know that. Well, how did you receive? In the comments. Tell me in the comments. I would also love for you to like this video, share it with your friends, and allow them to learn to receive. First thing, allow yourself to do the thing that's going to get you to receive. Say thank you for the coffee. Allow yourself to rest, recover, whatever it is, right? Message the client, ask for the sale, whatever it is in your life. Ask for the promotion, ask for the money, whatever it is, right? Allow yourself to receive more, because you're always intrinsically worthy, no matter what, but you get to receive more. If you've got a really heavy bag and someone offers to carry it, say yes, please. Or, you know what? If you would like to receive help, maybe ask for it. It's okay. Book the cleaner. Book the person that's going to do the mowing the lawns, or book the person that's going to help you with your business or whatever it is, your back end or whatever you need, right? So that you can be in your zone of genius and you can receive and you can keep doing what you love and keep allowing, maybe even spending more time with your kids, whatever it is, right? The more you allow yourself to be supported and receive, the more you will get to do the things that are going to light you up and support you and grow whatever it is you're growing. So I'd love to know. Please share. Please also tag my Instagram page, Unapologetically Wild with Kadi. You can DM me. You can do whatever you want, like follow the page. Share this everywhere to anyone and everyone who you know needs to hear this, because this is really, really important. And I'm here to change the world to help women do this. I love helping women do this in my one-on-one containers, in the Holistic Woman, in all the things that I do. It's all about allowing women to receive more, because you get to have everything you want in this life. I love you. I hope you have an unapologetically wild day. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, all of the things, right? Tell your friends, get them to subscribe. Let's all make this so we get to receive more love. I would love you to allow me to receive likes, comments, subscribe, or subscribe to, or give me stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to, wherever you listen to. Go to my social media. I would love you to follow me so we can chat more about receiving. And I hope that you honestly just get to see how beautiful it is to receive more. I love you. Stay unapologetically wild. Stay unapologetically you. And I hope you have the most magnificent week. And I cannot wait to be in your ears or in front of you next week. Lots of love.